All right. So, like I've been doing every single class, 30 seconds to build this entire PowerPoint. Um, and I've been rotating tools every time to show you guys what's good as far as AI presentation creation stuff. So, I have had a lot of people be really excited. Hopefully, everybody didn't go all in. Maybe you did go all in on Google stock after the big Gemini 3 announcement. So we're going to be focusing a lot on the Google ecosystem. There is good and there's bad, meaning like I don't like all the stuff that Google has produced, but I think they've done some really good stuff and creating a good ecosystem. I know that we looked at some of the tools Microsoft had, and I was very irritable a lot of the tools that Microsoft has. I always feel at the end of the day, for those of you in business, the attorneys always win. In the case of AI, I think the Microsoft, Google, Amazon, the consultants always win because some of these implementations are just so hard. If you look at Palantir's business model, I've been playing around with Palantir. Once I got enough experience on the tools and systems, I'll do a demo of how to use Palantir as well. But really, the consultants make so much money on these implementations, and I don't think they're making it easy for anybody. But for those of us who've got companies less than 100,000 in employees, I still think it's important that the leaders of all of our companies that we kind of know how these tools are to be able to implement it, even if we're stuck in the Google or Microsoft or Amazon or whatever ecosystem that you guys are forced into from a security or compliance standpoint. I know we have people in military, Department of Defense, we have people literally across the world. So we're going to check out the presentation that was created by Gemini from scratch. Like I said, this took about 30 seconds, and I'll go through the slides. You'll also get to kind of see how Google Sheets, Google Slides, Google Docs, all the different tools have worked from an AI standpoint. So I'm going to close this here. I would do a full screen, but it'll take over the whole screen. So you just have to check it out like this. So we're at, like I said, do a refresher, go through some of the LM models. And like I said, I have spent zero time editing any of these slides. I just took all the key concepts that we're going to go through, posted it in, and it generated this entire slide. Like I said, probably wouldn't do that. You probably edit each one of these components. We'll start from there. So how I created this slide is I literally was chatting with Gemini, and most people use ChatGPT. I think some of the benefits that ChatGPT has is they've got the folders, they've got now connectors. I think the Gemini ecosystem is a little behind the curve on just organization. The way they organize is pretty much everything that you've chatted is just one chat. Um, and the way that they do their threads, it's kind of not as organized, but they have some really cool features. So what I did is if you go to hiveresearch.com, there's the AI lab. So everything from all the classes is in the AI lab section. It'll go just to this Notion page. So I kind of updated it. There's today's class that's coming up, all these how-to guides, how to build AI agents, whole list of tools that you can get access to. And if you do want to look at past classes, all those materials are there. By the way, if you haven't signed up, just make sure you click the form on the page. You can sign up for future classes. But for those of you who are on the WhatsApp group, as new models and tools that come up and running, I will try them out with the team and with other CEOs. You're more than welcome to post. I know that a couple people have posted some of their updates on AI tools that have come out. So go ahead, you can post and join the WhatsApp group. Like I said, this is all on hiveresearch.com. And we're going to go through the class. So all the class materials of what we're going to cover is in here, and then we'll put how-to guides. So we'll kick it off with the ChatGPT optimizer. So most of you, including myself, we interact with these LLMs human to LLM. That's not really the best way to interact with these LLMs. So most of the big players have created optimizers, which is an interim step between you as a human coming up with your prompt, just like your natural language, converting it into an optimized prompt for the LLM, and then you can copy and paste or submit that directly. So if you go to the tools that I have, there's one that says Prompt Optimizer OpenAI Platform. So you have to have OpenAI full accounts. You don't have to have like the highest tier, but you have to have a paid tier. And that link, like I said, is in the AI tools section of the Practicum. And this is the prompt optimizer. And if you want to create a prompt and you're not good at creating prompts, we'll just say, I want to create a financial analyst AI agent. Create the best prompt for me to do that. Okay, that is a terrible prompt. Is about as bad as you're going to get. But what you can do is by just clicking the optimize prompt, it's actually tuned for ChatGPT 5. So each one of these prompt optimizers are optimized to the specific AI tool that you're using. So, like most of us, if we're using ChatGPT, using this prompt optimizer on a day to day basis, probably not a big deal. But if you've got something from a work standpoint, or you're building something that requires comprehensive analysis, or you're like, I need to make sure I'm going to get the best output, my recommendation, especially from a business context standpoint, is that you should be using an optimizer in this process, not just putting in an open ended prompt. Now, it is going to look, it made 50 additions to my prompt and subtracted one. And it's going to give you the reasons why it did everything. Remember, I only spent 5 seconds creating that original prompt, right? But now it's going to optimize it and you could edit all these instructions, but it does a pretty good comprehensive prompt. Now, remember, nothing's actually happened, right? I haven't sent the prompt anywhere. So you would just copy that prompt. And if you go into ChatGPT, I should have probably had it open up a little earlier. Funny enough, I don't actually use ChatGPT almost at all. That's a one other conversation for another time, but we'll do auto mode on 5.1. I'm just going to copy and paste that prompt that we just created, and it's going to generate the AI agent for me. Okay, so that I think I may have physically spent maybe like 10 seconds putting the input, probably about a minute for it to optimize it, copy and paste, and it's off to the races. Now, again, I pay for the pro version of ChatGPT, and I use the pro version of each one of these. But at that point, it is going to create step-by-step instructions for the AI agent creation. Use the prompt optimizer for ChatGPT. Again, like you, I don't have a lot of time. I'm not going to spend all my time trying to create a perfect prompt. That's why these prompt optimizer are created. Now, Claude also has a tool for creating a prompt. Now, everybody asks me, what LLM do you use for what use case? It really depends on the use case, right? So if you've got just functional step by step, I'm using ChatGPT. Meaning like it doesn't require any like nuance of language. You know, for example, probably like many of you, I take vitamins in the morning. Well, if I'm going to go work out, I need probably a different set of vitamins than if I'm going to bed, right? You want to mix and match this. But I don't know about you, I've got like way too many vitamins. And I got to figure out, okay, I got this much sleep. I'm going to do this workout. And I just need to functionally get step by step. What should I take before my workout? So I literally do that. Before my workout, I'm like, I type into my ChatGPT as all my vitamins. And I say, hey, I got this much sleep. I work out in 30 minutes. Give me an output of what are the vitamins I should take before my workout and how much time before. And it's going to spit out. Functionally, ChatGPT is fantastic for that. It's a very straightforward, it's very clean in design. It's very step by step and procedural. When it comes to language, in our company, when we're doing a lot of chat with we have 120,000 people applying for a loan across 6 lenders. We're not using ChatGPT models for the normal communication. I think the best human-like model is Grok. Upside of Grok is that normal humans don't sound like a business analyst. Most normal humans have jokes, probably swear a little bit, have a little bit of colloquial like mannerisms and stuff like that. Grok is really good at that. Almost none of the other LLMs that are out there will allow you to do that because they're more focused on safety. They want to make sure that no one is, spamming or doing, swear words in any of their messages, right? So they're gonna be really, really safe. Grok, on the other hand, like I think they throw safety out the window. Like you guys figure it out from that standpoint. As far as written language, like if, for example, if you go to Hive Research, there's a lot of content that's created there. The secret is I actually work with an LM. That's not really a secret. Everybody works with an LM to write every single article that's on that website. And there's probably, I don't know, like 100, 200 different articles on every single topic. So by going through that process, it can be very overwhelming. But I also have my own format, I have my own structure. Claude, I think, is the absolute best for writing blog content, professional content that's got, a little bit of nuance to who you are. So what we're going to do in this prompt, I need to create an AI agent is similar to my writing style. I usually talk about AI, quantum computing, college students are my audience in CES. Okay. So that's really quick. Obviously, it's not very nuanced from that standpoint. But in a couple ways, what you can do now is you can run the code, and very similarly, it's going to generate an agent that mirrors my writing style. I would highly recommend everybody creates their own AI agent for your own writing. I think it's a 101. We've got a lot of stuff we got to write, whether it's emails, blog posts, press releases, information to all of our employees. And you don't want to take the time to try to make it all perfect. So I highly recommend, I've got several AI agents that mimic components of the way that I teach class or have very specific topics in the company that allows the workflow process to be a lot faster for how you're going to communicate on a regular basis. Now, guess what? That's kind of a hint. Once you build your AI agent for specific use cases, for example, just before I was teaching class, I had an offshore catch up. We had team members from our international operations. I do a small group meeting 10 people at a time, periodically throughout the year. So I can rotate through about 100, 200, 300 different people. So what I do is I want to spend some time with everybody, but also don't want to repeat myself. So what do? One of the tools that I think is in the tool section here in meetings, I put whisper and voice memo. So what did I do? So at the start of my class, I use my voice memo, which is on all iPhones, or you can use Whisper transcription, which is free, and that's on all Android devices as well. Record my entire class. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste that into Claude, into my project, using my JPAI agent for classes, and it will break it down into the exact format that I normally use for when I teach classes. For those of you who are in the Stanford program with me, I copied every single class note and audio from every one of my professors. I know, Lyndon, you were in our Chicago booth class as well. So I audio recorded everything, transcribed it, put it in my style and voice, the learnings that I got from it and my notes, added together, boom, in no time, I've got good lecture summary format. Now, for you, it might be meeting notes, and we'll go through a bunch of different meeting tools. We've talked about Otter, we talked about Fireflies, Granola is another tool there, and Google Meet. We're going to be looking at that today as well. So very similarly, Claude has its way of creating a prompt as well and optimize it, right? There's no way that I'm going to be able to write all of this stuff, and it's going to be able to do that in a matter of seconds. Now, we just did a really quick live, not the most effective way, right? This is really quick. I would probably use even a more a deep learning or thinking mode on these when I'm building these agents. I wouldn't do it on the auto or the fastest or instant mode. All right, let's go back to our Google generated class here. All right, so we went through Google Optimizer, or GPT Optimizer, Claude Optimizer. Google Gemini does not have a prompt optimizer. Not that it's good or bad. I think you can always. So I actually created my own Google prompt optimizer. And how did I do that? I just asked Gemini. I said, Gemini, create an optimized prompting tool for Gemini. This is what it actually produced for me. If you go to today's class, Google generated prompt optimization template. So you can actually go into the class notes, and I'll make sure it's available on the main page as well. Copy and paste this into your fresh chat, replace the bracketed text with your rough idea. So this is a little bit more hand holding of a process. It doesn't do all the work for you, but it still gets the same gist. So this is what Gemini produced for me. And I use this format optimized for Gemini. You can copy and paste it. It's right on the class notes for today. But I'll show you how I structure it. So I said, ask me to fill in the following items one at a time to complete the following prompt optimized. So now what it's going to do, it took that optimized prompt and it's basically going to ask me step one, step two, step three to fill out the optimized prompt. Now, I know this sounds like it's a lot of extra steps. Day to day, like I said, if you're like, what vitamin should I take? It's not requiring any prompt optimization. You just ask the question. But when it comes to business and any large scale operation or anything that's critical path, do not just do open natural language prompting. Not a good idea. The other thing is, you've probably been frustrated where you're like, here's the initial prompt, creates an output, creates kind of what you want. You put another prompt, creates a little bit better, and you just keep going on and on and on. That's called chain of thought. Here's the problem with chain of thought. The longer the chain of thought, the worse things are. In fact, the error rates as you increase your chain of thought. So if I go back and forth on the prompting and I need to do one, maximum three, and we did this in a previous class. When you go through the iteration of optimizing your prompt or optimizing an output, 3 to 5 absolute maximum. Meaning, what I will tell it to do is like create a rubric based on this question that I want you to answer, create 3 to 5 different outputs, evaluate each one of these outputs, rank order the best of these outputs, and output the best of those outputs. Now, it's just how the normal process is, right? Creative process. You want to make a logo, you don't do one logo and say it's good to go. You create a whole bunch of logos. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You say, pick each one of these. Here's my rubric. It's got to have this design style, this kind of feeling, whatever it is. And it will actually do the work for you. It will do all the steps but for you. It'll create all the different logos. It'll evaluate all those different logos and it'll select the best one. But if you start doing like 10, 12, 20, not only is it going to give you marginal benefit of just constantly updating, in fact, it'll start giving you nonsense. So if David, I see you on the screen there. If I say, I want to write a compelling letter as a holiday thank you for David taking me out to dinner at the restaurant that was down the street here in Buckhead. I could probably say, okay, I've got the JP AI agent. This is my style. Here's some info about David. This is what I know about him. He likes wine, organic wine. He loves France, and he's got all these interesting things about it. Okay, so I'm going to put that prompt together. I'm going to say, this is what we all do. How can I improve this prompt? Or how can I improve this output? Okay, great once, great twice. 10th time, if you keep asking the LLM to improve or what you should change, guess what? It's going to keep on coming up with stuff. And what happens is there's a degrade function on chain of thought. So what I do is I literally will rip it out of that chat, put it into a new chat, and restart. I think that people get frustrated. They're like, hey, why am I not getting better output? And usually you're trying to go through this process. Like I said, have you ever had like that brain fatigue? Okay, I love Chinese buffet. There's like really maybe like 10 ingredients, but there's like 10,000 items on the menu, right? You don't want to have 10,000 choices. You want to have a narrow set of choices in your decision making process, right? Same thing with the LLM. You tell it, hey, I want 40 different outputs and I want to keep iterating it for the next hour. More time on the same chain of thought is not going to give you a better output. It's going to give you a worse output. At a certain point, just stop, reset, and then start from that process again and redo it because it'll actually remove the context in a new chat thread and it'll reset the whole process. Because I've heard a lot of, even myself, I get frustrated after a while. I'm like, I'm fed up with this output. I don't know why what it's coming up with. It's not actually providing me any value.